And then with the Bub Carrington injury, like to me, the biggest thing is the fact that now who's going to play point guard for this team? Like I really started looking at the depth chart, and I'm like, okay, if Bub's going to be out for like a week or two, or that's being optimistic. Who's going to come out there and be the lead ball handler for this team? And so that kind of really presents some roster quirks, and I think that it's going to be something of note for the Wizards to start this season.
Yeah, it absolutely will be. Now, Mike, I'll lead that into a question to you. Who do you think on this roster has the capabilities of stepping up as a point guard should Bub be out for an extended period of time?
No, I don't think there really is one. I think it'll be CJ McCollum. I mean, I don't think they're going to go with the traditional point guard. I mean, look at the construction of this roster. They've got no ones, no fives. It's entirely twos, threes, and fours. So I suspect that more of the playmaking, Middleton will do more of the playmaking. McCollum will bring the ball up a little bit more. In some ways, it might be a little liberating for some of the other players. I think, we saw a lot of Keyshawn George get put the ball in his hands. I think they're going to experiment with that a lot. But yeah, I mean, I think if this team was built to win, this would be a huge problem. Of course, it is not really built to win. So it's just going to make a bad team worse in the short term. But that's where I think it's sort of by design that they don't really have other options.
Yeah, it definitely is. And as you're saying, this team not designed to win. That's not really the goal of the season. It's really more so development. So Isaac, I'll ask you this. Obviously, in terms of wins, the Wizards would be at a disadvantage here, losing a point guard. How could they try to use this to their advantage to develop some of those twos, threes, and fours that they have a bevy of on this roster in Bub's absence?
Well, you got to see what you got. The only way is you got to play a lot of different combinations with those guards and see which lineups they fit comfortable with. See if it makes sense to have CJ with Keyshawn or have Keyshawn bring up the ball. So when you play a little, games like this and try to mix and match the combinations in practice, just see which lineups work. So it seems like the Wizards are going to go for that positionless basketball lineup. I don't know if it's going to work with some of the guys they have because due to the lack of experience, but it's an experiment that they have to go through, and it's just trying to figure out which lineups make sense.
Yeah, I really think that this really could be, some kind of like genius plan from the front office of, putting the young players in a position where they have to develop, certain skills a lot faster than what they would have on a normal NBA roster constructed or roster construction. So for example, it's like a guy like a Will Riley. Maybe when they drafted him, they always envisioned him, kind of becoming more of a ball handler, and hopefully, like maybe he might be a future point guard. So he'll have opportunities to come out there and be able to play make and kind of work through his mistakes. But Mike, I very much agree with what you said with the way the roster was constructed. That it's all twos and twos through fours because there isn't really a true center on the roster, and there really isn't a true point guard on the roster.
No, it's by design. I mean, it is actually kind of comical how little front court depth the team has. That brings me to something that I constantly think about with this team is this good for Alex R? But that's a whole separate topic. I mean, on the wing and guard front, to me, this probably is good for players like Trey Johnson and Cam Whitmore and I think especially the latter, where, when the season started in the preseason, I looked at sort of all the guys that they had, and I was thinking, okay, somebody is not going to get minutes, even with Koulibaly injured. You look at just sort of who needs minutes at the 2, 3, and 4 positions. You've got Trey Johnson, Middleton's going to play when Middleton's healthy, and Middleton should play because he's kind of the best pick and roll player on the team. Mm-hmm. Koulibaly, George, Corey Kispert's going to get his 25 minutes. Justin Champagnie should play a bit because he's not so bad. I just kept thinking to myself, the Wizards need scoring. Where's Cam Whitmore going to play? Now that if Carrington's out for an extended period of time, which I don't know, it's possible he's not. I don't know. I got the sense that the injury wasn't that serious, but maybe I have bad info there. Then I think that clears a spot. Either you put Trey Johnson in the starting lineup or you put Whitmore in the starting lineup. And those are two. I mean, Whitmore in particular is someone that, the Wizards traded for knowing that he didn't get chances in Houston. And if he wants to have chances to do what, to fix his weaknesses and to show what he needs. The Wizards need somebody who can put the ball in the hoop. So I think it's a real opportunity for Cam Whitmore to expand his game if he's able to take advantage of it.